Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen. And this morning, as promised over the last couple of videos, Mississippi mud pie. It's going to be an amazing pie recipe, I believe, and a little more challenging than some of the recipes I've found, but not too shabby, and I'm going to change it up just a hair. But that being said, Mississippi mud pie gets its name because of the dark chocolate layer, or the chocolate layer on the bottom that represents the mud of the Mississippi. And if you like chocolate, this is definitely up your alley. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If this is your first video, hope you get something out of it. If you're returning or a new subscriber, thank you. I appreciate that more than you know. It means that A, I'm putting out something that you enjoy. B, you're wanting to be a part of a good neighborhood, that it's full of communication and through food. But that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. That helps build our channel, gets us out in YouTube's algorithm, and which is just amazing. All your measurements will be given to you in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, along with grams. That way everybody can play along. And I think that's it. If you haven't checked out yesterday's video for the cowboy spaghetti, do so, because we also go and take a look at the garden and some current projects I've either wrapped up or are in the middle of. But anyhow, Mississippi mud pie. Let's get down to the counter and get started. Hold on for me 1 second. Alright, so we're down here at the counter. Some things you will need: a whisk, a medium bowl, a large bowl, and I'm using a double boiler, but that's not necessary. You can also use your microwave because we're going to do some melting of chocolate. That being said, first thing you need is a recipe. As always, I got mine in my notebook. If we like it, we keep it. If we don't, we pitch it. Sometimes if we can modify it to make it something we'll like, we most certainly will. After we get our bowls out, first thing we're going to do is make a pie crust. Now, this is an Oreo based pie crust, and all I did was take 32 regular size Oreos. I buy a party pack, that way you get 4 sleeves, but it's 2 of the sleeves, or one 14-ounce bag package of Oreos, but you'll need 365 grams at any rate, along with 6 tablespoons of butter at about 84 grams. I melted the butter. I put the Oreos in my food processor, grounded them up, combined it with the butter, and it is now currently sitting in the freezer, which I'm going to put it back in the freezer so it doesn't warm up. Be right back in a second. Okay, we got that back in the freezer. So the next thing we need to do is, in our double boiler, we got to turn it on. Rules of thumb on double boilers: this isn't a true double boiler, it's actually a sauce pot with a bowl on top. Metal is preferred. Ceramic and glass can break with the heat and the scraping, but if that's all you have, don't use a metal whisk. Get one that's got the coating on it. That way you don't scratch it up. That's usually what causes it to break. So we got our double boiler. I've got water in there, and I've got just enough water in there that it will steam, but will not hit this. We don't want it boiling, we just want it steaming. So in here, in our double boiler, we are going to take, it's one package of chocolate. Alright, and the original recipe called for 70% chocolate. This is just 60. It's what I had, that's what we like, so that's what we're going to use. So we're going to pour that in there, right? And to that, I'm going to add a half a cup, 114 grams, 8 tablespoons of butter. And I cut mine up into little blocks, and it's been sitting out for a few minutes, but not, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. Not very long. That way it gets a head start on softening, makes it quicker to melt. So what we're going to do is we're going to stir this until it is all completely melted, then we'll take it off the double boiler. Okay, so we've got our chocolate is melted, as you can see right there. and our butter is incorporated in with it, and I'm here to tell you that looks beautiful, so shiny. Butter will make things shiny. It's kind of cool. So the next thing we need to do is combine the rest of our ingredients for our brownie. So we've got the Oreo crust, and then we're doing a layer of brownies, then we're going to do a layer of chocolate pudding, and then we're going to put some whipped topping on top of that. So to get our brownies going, first we melted our chocolate and our butter. Now we've got 3 large eggs, 150 grams. I'm just going to beat those up real quick. That way we got those together, never takes long. And to that, I am going to add 2/3 a cup, 65 grams of just plain old white granulated sugar. Get that in there. And then we're gonna mix this, we're just gonna whisk this together for a couple minutes. We wanna get it light, you know, like light in color and kind of thicken, light and fluffy, like mashed potatoes. All right, we got our eggs, nice and airy, light and fluffy. And my hand is going to be sore after whisking those together, but that's all right. It just, if nothing else, shows you that you can do this without the electric tools. So to this, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of toasted pecans, 1 teaspoon of instant espresso powder. Now you're thinking, Brian, espresso powder, really? Trust me, with the cocoa, you don't get a coffee flavor, but it makes everything so much richer. And we're going to add 1/4 cup, 30 grams of flour. The espresso powder was 2 grams. We're going to add a 1/4 cup, 37 grams of cocoa powder. That might be 32 grams. I'm having a hard time reading my writing on my thing there on the recipe. The rest of that flour in there. We're going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla, and I believe that is it. And we're just going to whisk this all together. All right, we got that all whisked together, just like such. So the last thing we need to do is take our heated butter and chocolate, and we want to be mixing this a little bit while we pour this in, because remember we got eggs in here and we don't want the eggs to cook, and this is still fairly warm, so we'll go ahead and get that poured in. Man, this is going to be rich. That way our eggs don't cook. There's that chocolate in there. I can honestly say this is the most chocolate I've ever put into a brownie. But that's alright. That's alright. We'll take it, right? Alright, so we got that mixed. And one thing I didn't do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees. When we started making this brownie mix, we should have preheated our oven, and I got sidetracked. So what we're going to do is we'll wait on that to heat up, but I got to get this mess cleaned up, and then we can put this in the pie crust. So I'll be back in just 1 second. Alright, so got everything cleaned up a little bit here, and oven's up to temp. I got our pie crust is out. So the next thing we need to do is take our batter, and we're just going to put it in this pie crust. Just like such. Got that. Now we're going to take it and we're going to put it in the oven. Hopefully, I just thought about this. This glass doesn't break, as it is glass going into a hot oven. Alright. Well, it didn't break as of yet. So we got that in the oven. Next question is, how long do we bake that bad boy for? Okay, so we'll set our timer. I'm going to set it for 25 minutes. That's what the original recipe called for, was 25 minutes. Now I'm going to check it at 20 minutes. What I'm looking for is for it to kind of look like a brownie. It'll be poofy, you know, it'll raise like all brownies do, and then it'll collapse as it cools. And it should be set. It might be just a hair jiggly in the middle like a firm cheesecake, but for the most part it should be set. So when I come back, we will take a look at it and we'll start the next process. Alright, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we just got her out of the oven after 25 minutes and turn the oven off. And if you can see, no jiggle in there at all. It's pretty well set. Here, just so we know for certain, I'll grab her here and bring her up to you. But see, move it, it doesn't really jiggle or anything like that. That means it's set and it's good. Like I said, it's 25 minutes and we didn't burn it. Nothing looks burnt. There's no burn marks. And so now what we're gonna do is, this has to sit for a minimum of 20 minutes to get down to room temperature. And what's gonna happen in the meantime, you're thinking to yourself, Brian, how are you gonna put 2 more layers on there when it's pretty much even with the crust? Because as that cools, that'll sink. All brownies do. They start out poofy and they work their way down as they cool. So we're gonna let this cool for about 15 minutes, and when I come back, we'll start making the custard, or the pudding that goes on top of it. We don't want to make it too soon because it'll thicken up fairly quick and we gotta wait on this to drop. So when I come back, we will make some pudding and this will be cooled. All right, see you in a second. Okay, so our brownie's been cooling for about 10 minutes and I want to go ahead and start working on the pudding, because even though it should only take about 5 minutes, you know how that goes. We gotta get it up to a boil. That could take all day. So I've got a medium saucepan and it's heavy bottomed, like I've talked about before, but you want a heavier bottom pan or pot, that way you get even heat disbursement. Nothing uneven, you go into hot spots, less chance of burning things. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that turned on and get it warming up because it is cast iron. And to this I'm going to add 150 grams, 3/4 cup of just plain old white sugar. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons, 20 grams of cornstarch, and I also have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in here to our mix, just like such. If I can get all the cornstarch out of there. Cornstarch is a fickle creature. It likes to stick to everything. I mean, it's not really much more than fancy baby powder. And we're gonna give that a good quick whisk, just like such. That way we know where our cornstarch is broken up, because cornstarch will clump and stuff. If you cook with it, you know, or anything like that, it'll always tell you to put it in a liquid first and mix it up. It's because it likes to clump. All right, so we got that in there. To this, I'm going to add 2 large egg yolks, just the yolks. Get that in there, get those broken up. Those are at room temperature. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be, but you know, it helps. And then we're going to add 1.5 cups, 375 milliliters of milk to that, and I'm using whole milk. That way, you want that fat in there, it helps thicken it up. And we're just going to stir this up, get it incorporated using a whisk, and we're going to heat this until it starts to bubble and thicken up. Once it bubbles and thickens up, we'll remove it from the heat and add some more. All right. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I can't really show you how to. If I bring it over to you, it'll stop. But it's popping. It's bubbling, is what it's doing, and it's starting to thicken. So once we hit this part, we're gonna go ahead and turn our oven off. Right? We're gonna bring it over here off the heat. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna add 4 ounces of cocoa, just the exact same chocolate bar that we used in the brownies, and it's 60%. Put that in there. And 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. So it was 2 tablespoons of butter at 28 grams, We had 1 bar of the chocolate of your choice at 60% cocoa at 4 ounces. And we had 1 teaspoon of vanilla at 4 grams. We're going to stir this in until it's melted, and then we can put it on top of our pie. Alright, so got our pie out here, and see how it's not even with the crust line anymore. It's not as shrunk as I hoped it would be, but that's alright. So we've got our pudding all nice and ready to go there, looking good, looking like pudding. And we're just going to pour this on top of this. Okay, we got our pudding on top of there. There is where we stand so far. Looking delicious. I honestly think we can let this cool and have it as a meal in or a dessert in and of itself. For that matter, I thought that when we hit the brownie layer. So what we'll do is get a little bit of that pudding off the side there. Oh, that's an amazing chocolate pudding. We're going to take this, I'm going to take the rack back out there. I'm going to put this on the rack real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, got that out there on the rack. So what do we do next? Well, we still have one more, thing to make. I didn't realize I was all the way out. And that would be the whipped topping. But first we have to let that bad boy cool. So here's where the practice and patience comes in. None of that took that long. Alright, we're about 30 minutes into this pie. We've got 3 of the 4 layers done. Oreos, brownie, pudding. So the next thing we have is whipped topping. But we have to let this cool first. So we're going to let that cool for about 20 minutes uncovered out here on the cooling rack. Alright, so that way we got it down to at least close to room temperature, or closer. And then we're going to put it in the fridge. Now according to the recipe, we're putting it in the fridge uncovered, nothing on it, for a minimum of 4 hours to overnight. As always, 4 to 8 hours on your pies. Overnight to me is 8 to 9 hours, unless you sleep like I do, and then it's 4 to 5 hours. But so 8 hours would be best practice, 4 hours minimum before serving. So when I come back, it'll be sitting in the fridge for at least 4 hours, and we'll put some whipped topping on it, all right? And tri-piece, obviously. But anyhow, I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so we let the pie cool completely, and then we put it in the, we'll let it cool for about another 20-25 minutes, and then I put it in the fridge. I did not put any saran wrap on it until it was completely cooled. Because I noticed I had a little pudding set aside for myself that it got a light skim coat on it, and I didn't want it to form any more of a skim coat, so I just went ahead and put on a piece of saran wrap. Didn't do any damage to the top or anything like that. And then after that, we went ahead and I just made up some whipped topping real quick, threw it on there, and then went a little chocolate chip mania crazy on the top. I was gonna do slivers of chocolate, but I just, give me 1 second. I got people always wanting to do something to my laptop, but that's all right. So, but that just seemed like a lot of work to break open a brand new chocolate bar just to get some slivers. So I went with chocolate chips that I already had open, right? Milk chocolate and semi-sweet minis. All right, well, let me get you down here. At any rate, we'll get a piece cut and we'll give it a try. I kind of already know, or at least have an idea of what it's going to taste like, just because at one point or another, I've had Oreo crust before. The brownie batter, tastes great. I know that because I got it on my hands. And I know the pudding tastes good, I know the whipped topping tastes good. But we'll see how it tastes together. And it's been sitting in the fridge, so you just never know. Okay, so that turned out to be a bit of a headache. That Oreo crust is solid. That's alright. We're gonna see if we can't get this bad boy out of here. So, I've never made an Oreo crust in a pie before, so that in and of itself is new. We're gonna see how it turns out otherwise. You can see me cut it. That was a colossal undertaking with that crust. I've never done an Oreo pie crust before, and I think next time I'm gonna add a little more butter to it. That Oreo might just be where it's still really cold, but as you can see, it came out clean at any rate, which is what I was trying to show you. And then there's our first piece. That was an undertaking to get out. I'm sorry you guys missed it, you know, but I'm glad you didn't have to suffer through it with me. Now, all we have to do is clean up our little bit of mess here. Grab a fork. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking a little more butter in that crust. Or maybe going with double stuff. Or like I said, might be where it's cold. Sorry, you guys had to stare at my forehead there for a second, but I had a thing. I get everybody and their brother want me to buy security stuff, but I don't really use this laptop for much of anything. But anyhow, let's hey, let me get out of your face, Cheese Pete. Let's give this a shot. I mean, as you can see right there, I mean, it's got the, well, you probably can't see it. Yeah, got your brownie, your Oreo, your pudding, your wet topping. That's good. Yeah. Hey, this thumbs way up. That is good. You can taste the pudding and the creaminess of the pudding. That pudding is off the hook, by the way. The brownie, the Oreo crust does add a nice crunch to it to offset the creaminess. And you get the chewiness of the brownie, and this is really good. Yep. I didn't think you'd want to sit there and watch me eat that whole piece. So, sorry. Pecans. The brownie. Oh. It all tastes so good, but the pecans are giving me fits. But anyhow, that's good. That really is good. I will definitely be making this again. Maybe figure out a way. I don't know, the crust has kind of got me perplexed. But I'll figure it out. I might do. I'll let you know. Because all in all, it's a good pie. Maybe I just need more practice with Oreo crust. It could be because I did it on in a glass dish. That made it just a little crispier than I like it. But the potential's there, hands down. Maybe even just go 20 minutes in the oven instead of the full 25. But give this recipe a try. Let me know if you do. You won't be disappointed. Good God, it is so creamy, so chocolatey, so chewy with the brownie and the pecans. I mean, and you can taste it all. That's the crazy thing. Every last bit of it, the flavor just pops independently, but at the same time, if that makes sense. So you won't be disappointed by any means. And if you know why my crust turned out that way, let me know. Is it because of the glass pan? Did I bake it a little too long? Who knows? We'll find out. But anyhow, next week, I have no idea what we're making for dinner or dessert, but we will. And real quick, in case you didn't see him right there just a second ago, if you wondered how I spent my day, there's 20 jars of chicken broth right there that we just did up today. We did 26 total. There's 6 more sitting out in the dining room. on the table. But it's very cool stuff. That was, I let that, if you remember on the dinner video, and then on this video this morning when we initially made this pie, there was that blue big pot, big blue pot. In most of the video, well, I showed it to you in the dinner video, and then in this video today, it was on the stovetop finishing up. That boiled for, simmered for 24 hours, 25 hours before we strained it and canned it up. So it's a really, really healthy, dense stock. It's a bone broth, not a, just a regular stock. But anyhow, next week, no idea. But until then, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them, very much. It's going to make them feel a whole lot better, and they may need to hear that. But it's going to make you feel a whole lot better to tell them. And if you make them one of these pies, you guys are going to have some good conversation and a good dessert. So until next week, I love you. I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.